This is going to be a really hard concept and episode for a lot of people. Sometimes bad things happen to us, and kind of like what you were saying before, we can't in the moment recognize that it's a karmic lesson. I think it's like an aquarium. You can't see all the fish if your face is pressed up against the glass. You kind of have to stand back and take it all in. Same thing with a piece of art. If you're zoned in on one little detail, you can't step back and take in the full picture.
Welcome, I'm Elise.
And I'm Jess, and this is Spiritual Alchemy,
the podcast where we explore the intersection of science and spirituality
and how it shapes our everyday lives.
Hey Jess.
Hey Elise.
It's been a day.
It has, you know what? Every day is a day.
Today's a special day.
Today is a special day, and we're talking about a topic that I really, truly set my watch by, but truly every day use this idea that we're all here to just learn, and you grow through what you go through.
Mm-hmm.
All the cliche things, because sometimes
life gives you lessons. Yeah, I mean, this was an interesting one to dive into, and I think for people listening, it's the first, for me, I mean, I know there's been many episodes, but I think today is I've really started to feel like this is a lot.
Yeah.
We've talked about a lot. We've dived into a lot of very deep topics, a lot of deep conversations, and we've shared a little bit about our personal stories today, but today we're going to dive in and get even more personal.
Yeah. We're really going to get to know us today.
He.
And I think that that's the best way to talk about this topic, because it's, at the core of it, you said it in one of our very first episodes, we like to think of Earth as a school, and that you are here to learn and have a human experience, and to experience life through the lens of being a human. So you're here to experience the full spectrum of emotions. You're here to go through some hard things.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that happens to you happens for you and happens to make you better. But sometimes when you're in that moment, it really doesn't feel that way.
No. And I always tell people, time is your best friend in moments of tumultuous upheaval.
Mm-hmm.
It's all we have.
Yeah.
So yes, in the moment, it's going to feel overwhelming. It's going to feel overstimulating, but all you can hope for is that time will heal. Time will then give you perspective. And then the next time it comes around, you've learned something, and you don't feel as stuck or, the stickiness, the heaviness, whatever it is that you felt in that moment, it won't feel as bad. You'll remember to bring your rain jacket. It won't get as wet.
Yeah.
Or maybe an umbrella.
Bring an umbrella. I think as someone who's been doing the lesson work for years, I've been working on my lessons and learning my lessons and seeing life through this lens of what is this teaching me? What am I supposed to be learning from this? The more I get into the work, I will say, when I started doing it, everything was really hard. It was hard to learn these lessons. It's just trying to figure it out and figure out what's going on. Did I learn the lesson right? Nope. I have to retake that test. I have to learn this again. Now I have to prove that I've learned it and show up for myself again. But at this point that I'm at now, where I've been doing this for years, yes, these hard lessons still come up and I am still facing them, but it does get easier to go through it. And the lessons, they get harder for a second to really test you, really challenge you, but then they're just more like these pop quizzes that just kind of pop up and it's like, hey, don't forget.
So we're going to try and give examples of the hardest lessons we've had to learn. But I will say this, that I don't feel like I have mastered anything in this lesson. I have just learned to navigate these waters more professionally, I guess I could say, in a way.
Okay.
I feel like it's like sailing across the open seas, right? The first time you do it, maybe you're going into uncharted waters. All you know is the stars in the sky. Like, you're the person making the map. I feel like I've done this journey now so many times that I know it's not easy, but I feel comfortable
Okay.
doing it. So my story of the biggest lesson I've had to learn was I got vocal damage in New York City, pushing myself post-graduation after just getting a degree in opera vocal performance. I've talked about it before here, but truly looking back, that complete breakdown of my body has allowed me to come into my breakthrough, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It has made me way more hyper aware of my physical self in this world, in what I do as an artist, as a collaborator, as a human. I've learned so much in that. So that's what I'll be sharing today. What about you, Jess?
Oh, so many lessons. And even as we're sitting here talking, I'm like thinking of more big lessons that I've had to learn. So I'll be sharing quite a few. Some are a little bit, I'd say lighter than others.
Which we gotta keep it light sometimes. So
We
that's
do
fine.
have to keep it light sometimes. I think a big lesson for me was really learning when you win, I win lesson. That was hard for me for a while. Especially when I was younger. I was a ballerina. Like, being a ballerina, very competitive environment, and you're taught to compete with each other, and you're taught to want to crave to be the best. And, you know, that was what drove you to be at class every day and get back to the bar every day and keep working hard. And I was a hard worker, which was then very challenging if I was passed over for a role or was not I think like lack of recognition was really hard for me to get past. And like, what a beautiful lesson that now I'm at a point in life where it's like I love watching people win. I love watching my friends, people I don't know, succeed, reach their goals, because I'm like, if you can do it, that means I can do it too. And it has completely changed my lens.
Yeah.
A lot of my other lessons have been in setting boundaries with the people that I love. And really, I've mentioned this before, I'm an unconditional lover. I just
Loves with her whole chest.
love with my whole chest. Elise knows this. I'm like, I am the friend that like steadfastly loyal, like, and sometimes to a fault, in a sense that like I will stick by people who do me wrong or who maybe don't show up for me the way that I show up for them. And having to also take these lessons of like, my love is unconditional, but it seems that there are other people in my life who have conditions for loving me. And that has been friends, that has been family, that has been romantic relationships. Some of my deepest, or I would say my hardest lessons have been in romantic relationships.
Yeah.
So I'll be sharing a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And we're gonna just take off.
So getting into it, how do you know if a situation or a pattern is a karmic lesson? Like, is it possible to be in these moments of, you know, you don't get the role in class, like in that moment, or for example, you know, getting my diagnosis of my vocal damage in the doctor's office? Like, is it possible in that moment to know, hey, this is a karmic lesson, this is part of your soul contract?
I don't think in the moment, unless you're aware of karmic lessons and like what they are, how they work, maybe. But I remember not understanding why I kept finding myself in the same situations,
Mm-hmm.
why the same pattern kept repeating. And what I really say about karmic lessons is that it is a situation that repeats itself almost verbatim.
So, for example, something I'm going through right now, I'm a chronic procrastinator. I am. I'll admit it. And I think part of my karmic lessons, which I will admit, I'm in the middle of it. And I think I can admit it because I understand karmic lessons. I am diving deep into my soul contracts, what I'm supposed to redo in this life. And I just have to radically accept who I am. Because I've fought it for years. Oh, I'll start that earlier. I'll do this earlier to make sure I'm not stretched thin at the last minute. And I gotta tell you, 9 times out of 10, I'm always waiting until the last minute. So something I've been really practicing over the past couple days, weeks, is I just say to myself, I have enough time. I have enough time because I always get it done. Don't know how sometimes, but I do. So that's an example of, I think I'm in the middle of another karmic lesson right now, and I'm sure it'll come up again, but I have to continue this mantra of, I have enough time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's my superpower.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold me back. It's my superpower.
Your vital force energy is only so strong. So you can only push yourself to a certain limit for a certain amount of time before you crash and burn.
Soul gifts versus unfinished business. Like your gift in this life is you are a giver.
Mm-hmm.
You work hard. You want to help other people. But your unfinished karmic business is you got to learn to draw those boundaries so that you don't give too much where there's none of you left.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you ascend and balance your gifts while also holding your boundary line?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I had, shout out to whatever number shrink this was to me, but I always struggle with boundary issues is life, I think, for most of us in 2025 with the world at our fingertips and a camera in zooming into the lens of millions of people's homes if you wanted to. None of us have boundaries. So I know nothing. But the shrink said to me, boundaries in this lifetime is like drawing a line in the sand next to the ocean. And they said, what does an ocean do? And I go, the tide comes up. And they go, yeah. That's what boundaries is. It's not just building a wall. It's you have to constantly redraw the line.
I feel like I love the analogy too. Like, if a boundary doesn't have to be a wall.
No.
Because a boundary can just be like a nice little hedge.
Mm-hmm.
A nice little rose bush hedge. And it's like, it's just a little barrier.
You can cut it down, let it grow.
You can climb over it. Like, I can still see you. We're still here. And I'm not blocking you out. I'm just setting a healthy boundary.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is also like, we have grown into this culture that we expect so much access to people, and we expect that instant access.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think you're like this. I am chronically horrible at answering texts. I am an awful texter.
Oh, you mean like someone will randomly text you and then you won't text back?
I won't text back. My inbox sits at like 100 unread messages and above constantly. It is a problem. I'm aware of it, but it is more just that it gives me, I used to have to answer people right away or they would freak out at me, and there was this kind of like tension that built up within me where I was like, you should not be able to have access to me 24 hours a day. Like, I gotta sometimes shut my phone off and take care of me.
Hey, some people have to do that. I'm sporadic where I feel like people know there's only 2 versions of me. You either text me and I will text you back right away, or you text me and I don't answer you for like 3 days.
Yeah.
There is no in between. But if it's something work related and it's something that has to be answered, I go, hey, I see this, I'm flagging it, I can't get to it until tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I try and hold my boundary line there. All of this is to say that the universe is giving us these lessons in different ways over and over and over again, because they're always meant to bring us back to our true self. They're always meant to make us look in the mirror. If you're not looking in the mirror, then you ain't taking care of yourself. Think about it like when you get these karmic lessons, it's like checking in the mirror, right? Is my hair good? Do I have something in my teeth? Like, is my mascara, like, you know, that's, to me, that's what these karmic lessons are. It's a moment to check yourself in the mirror.
It is a moment to check yourself. I think it can go a little deeper than that, because the lessons that you're here to learn are for your soul's betterment.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less, and you know what? I think a lot of these lessons come back to, how are you taking care of you? How are you loving yourself and showing up for you? It all ties back to self-love. Because when you're pushing yourself to burnout to the point where you're damaging your vocal cords, you're not taking care of you. You're taking care of everything outside of you. When I'm not setting healthy boundaries and I'm too worried about taking care of everybody else around me, I neglect myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been a big boundary I've set with myself, that I have to practice my self-care routines. And I have to stay on top of, like, you know, doing my daily skincare and making sure that I'm doing my laundry, cleaning my house, like just simple self-care tasks. Feeding myself is a big one. I get so busy in the day that sometimes I am like, oh, about time to eat something.
Same.
Yeah.
Would you believe me if I told you I didn't have a self-care routine until like 2021?
Yeah. Based on your lesson, yeah, I would say that makes sense.
Yeah. So to bring it back, New York City, 2018 to 2019, I graduated, and I did not know why I was performing. Honestly, it was probably for external validation. It's the place where I could literally claim my voice, but there was no magic in it, which I think has been the most beautiful part of this journey, is like finding the magic in everything. But looking back, there was no magic. You know, what's funny is actually this morning I went back and listened to recordings of myself because I wanted to be really inspired before we talked about this. And you can hear it. Mm-hmm. You can hear it in my voice. I'm singing, like, you would hear it and you'd be like, wow, that sounds beautiful. But then compare me singing that same song now, there's just this like magic glimmer now in my voice that is missing. And it was this pressure to perform. And then I graduated with a degree, and it was this pressure to like prove that everything I had worked towards, everything I had learned was worth something. And I just kept pushing and pushing and fighting and pushing. And I was doing a million things. I was living in Manhattan, very, very expensive. And I was living in a place where I couldn't afford rent. I was bartending and waitressing, which is very hard on your body and your voice for anybody who has not been in the service industry. I was trying to keep up with music. I was trying to teach a little bit and then conduct some choirs, sing in a church, do some gigs. When I name all that, do you hear any time for self-care?
Absolutely none.
There was none. But it's New York, and I was already fighting some demons in my head, some family issues. And I found solace in that moment running. Kept myself busy. If I just wake up and I have a plan every day and I just stay busy, and then if I stay busy, I can pay my bills, and if I can pay my bills, then I can sleep well at night. Like, it was just, I just kept running on the hamster wheel.
You stay busy to avoid the work. Yeah. You stay busy so you don't have to face your shadows. Mm-hmm. You stay busy so you don't have to do the work. Mm-hmm. You stay busy because if you're busy, then all the things that you're ignoring don't matter because you don't have time to deal with them. But those patterns are going to creep up, and what happens and what the universe does is it literally will give you a shove. If you're ignoring the work you need to be doing, you're going to start to see your life fall apart. Well, because the universe is going to be like, oh, you're not going to make these steps to make changes? Guess what? I'll do it for you.
So to give people kind of a timeline, I started having chronic health issues first. I was constantly busy, started having stomach issues. And then I would maybe I'd have one glass of wine, violently ill.
Mm.
And it was honestly the one glass of wine night that I was like, okay, something is very wrong with my body.
Yeah.
I went in, I was not even 25 yet, and they scheduled me for a colonoscopy and endoscopy back to back. And they found issues in my intestines, and they found I had an ulcer. And this is maybe 7 months after graduation.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, I don't know what to do. And the doctor's like, well, tell me about your daily routine. And I was like, well, I intermittent fast and I just drink black coffee until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He was like, yeah, don't do that. That's how you burned a hole in your stomach. And I was like, yeah, that'll do it.
Oh yeah.
So I thought I had kind of sewn that up, so this is maybe February, March of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Then my voice started having issues
Mm-hmm.
because I fixed that. I got on the medication for the ulcer and I started eating better and I wasn't intermittent fasting anymore. So I was like, oh, I'm good. I'm taking care of myself. Then April, May of 2019, voice started having issues. Went to the doctor. They scoped me. They found polyps on my vocal cords.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the universe saying, bitch, sit down.
Yeah.
And I still didn't.
Mm-hmm.
I still didn't after that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, my dream of New York City, I'm not going to let that go down the tubes. So what did I do? I went and I got a 9-to-5 job. Because my speech pathologist said that was the only way to heal myself. Go sit. Go be behind a desk. Go be silent. But I went and worked for music school. One of the top conservatories in the United States. And looking back, I mean, how could I have done anything different? But when I look back, I'm like, man, you needed a vacation.
Yeah.
Not a new job.
No. You got to give yourself a break.
Yeah, and I didn't.
The body keeps the toll.
Mm-hmm.
I remember there was a relationship that I was in that towards the end of it, was having chronic illnesses and developed a food allergy, and then was sick constantly and was so violently ill and sleeping all the time. And there was another that was more like a gut issue. There was another time when I was burnt out from working, and I was working 3 jobs. I was managing one gym, doing personal training at another, and then teaching classes at a third, and I was running back and forth all over the place, and I ended up in the hospital with stomach infection because my body was like, dude, chill out. But I was also at that point, that one was very pivotal for me, the hospital visit, because I've talked about it before. It was very scary, in that I did not think I was going to leave that hospital room. It was very bad. And until they figured out what was wrong, they kept giving me the wrong medicine. Oh. They kept giving me these antibiotics that were making it worse.
That'll do it.
I was like, great. Yeah. Okay, cool. So glad we figured that out. But what was happening at the time too in my life was that a group of my friends were going to Hawaii for a trip, and I had started traveling a little bit more. Traveling is something that I love to do. It is something I've wanted to do more, and I've always made excuses not to do it. Oh, I can't take the time off work. Oh, I can't. And it was always a work thing. It was I have to work. And after that incident, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to have a good time while I'm here. I want to go see the world, and I want to go travel. I'm booking that plane ticket to Hawaii. Fuck that. And it was also a bit of a boundary as well, because I had to set this boundary that I'm from the East Coast, and a lot of East Coasters that live in LA kind of know this deal that the family wants to see you. And I had to set this hard boundary with myself that I was I'm allowed to take a vacation.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be to the East Coast.
And it doesn't have to be to go see my family. Mm-hmm. I am allowed to travel and not every time I leave the city go back to the East Coast, and that's the only place I get to go. There's a big world out there that I want to see, and I'm going to go see it, and fuck what anybody else thinks, And I've had some amazing trips, and I've seen some beautiful places, and that was a big pivot for me.
I think traveling can I think there's actually scientific proof that like being somewhere outside of your normal scope of your day to day can increase your happiness by a certain percentage. So I'm not going to quote a percentage because I don't have it in front of me, but I remember reading that they've interviewed and actually conducted a way to measure it.
Oh, wow.
People who like travel and then when they come back, that it's proven. You go somewhere that you've never been before and you immerse yourself in a different area, culture, you know, different like environment, just like weather wise, you will experience happiness.
Mhm.
It's that simple.
Isn't that crazy?
Those are crazy concepts.
Listen, I mean, yeah, I think it is. I do. I mean, listen, I'm like, I do feel happier when I'm not in the same place. And what I always used to say was like, every 2 months I needed to like get out of LA and just go on a trip. And then there was a year that I did a trip every month, and I was like, okay, now I'm tired again for fun reasons, but like I'm tired again, so I need to. And I took a year to not travel, and I worked, and then
you save up and you go again.
Saved up, I went again, and that's just how it went.
Yeah,
but
and, you know, and we are speaking from a point of view of being like very much past these moments, and I'm gonna keep going back to that first question. Like, did we know in the moment that it was a karmic lesson? And I gotta be honest, no. I was drowning.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I always use my water metaphors.
Yeah.
It was a fucking tsunami in my life.
I was like, a flood?
It wasn't just a flood, because I might have been able to handle a flood as a little fish, but no, it was a fucking tsunami. Like, to explain to you the weight and the gravity of this, like, debilitating diagnosis, my brother got married in August of 2019. My brother and sister gave the gift of music at his wedding. I could not sing. You know, and I think back to that moment, and like, even still, I feel a ping in my gut. I had pushed my body so far to the limit. I was not able to give the greatest gift that I think I have, that my family has collectively. All my siblings and I were all musical. I couldn't give that.
Yeah.
And I don't get to redo that again.
No.
He's married. It's done. And now I think that's a moment that really hit me, where I was like, fuck, this isn't just a blip in time. Like, this is my life is passing me by because of my choices to not take care of myself, to not be wary of the health signs.
Oh, yeah. It's, again, it does go back to self-love. The more love you can give yourself, the more you fill your own cup, the more you can spread that out. And it seems like a lot of lessons come back to that core belief that we need, is like, and I'll say it again, you should be the love of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we are here, we need to take care of we're here in these vessels. You know, your body is your instrument, your body is your temple. You gotta take care of you. No one else is gonna do it for you. Same way that nobody's gonna do the work on learning these lessons for you.
Mm-hmm.
People will come here to teach you, but they can't learn it for you. I feel like I had teachers that used to say that, as like, we can teach you, but we can't learn it for you. So you need to learn it.
Mm-hmm. You gotta let your breakdown lead you to your breakthrough, which is so scary, because when things start breaking down, what do we want to do? We want to grab onto it. We want to fix it. We want to muscle through it, right?
Yeah.
You have to break down to break through.
Yeah.
So for me, the vocal damage, though absolutely devastating, it was a pivotal point.
I keep going back to this lesson that I've been learning in my romantic relationships. And again, it's a lesson that it is a deep karma that I am here to heal. And I'm still trying to unpack the why. But all I know for sure is how I show up now. And my kryptonite is that I love too hard, and I love very fast. And I meet people and I see all the brightest parts of them, but then it turns into, but I have all these shadows. And sometimes when you're standing in front of somebody with a big spotlight and you're like, look how great you are, and all they see, if they don't love themselves, if they haven't done the work to heal themselves, and they don't
All they
love
see is their
themselves fully,
scars.
all they see are their scars, and they just think, oh, I hope they don't notice my scars. I hope they don't notice what's wrong with me. And then that comes out and bleeds out in ways that, at least what I've experienced, is very toxic.
It's the karmic metaphor, or the metaphor of a teacher giving a pop quiz.
Mm-hmm.
Karma's gonna keep giving you repeated situations, patterns, until you face it and learn the lesson.
I remember my favorite pop quiz the universe ever gave me. Again, relationships, but I had been in a long relationship, ended very badly. Things had happened in the relationship I won't get into. But a couple months later, maybe like 6 months later, I'd given my heart some time to heal, but I was like, I'm not ready to date anybody new. Like, that's not my thing. And then my friends set me up with one of their friends. And I still was like, no, I don't think so. And then he wooed me, got me tickets to my favorite band, and all the good stuff. I was like, all right.
I could not have I'd rolled harder. Sorry, I realized I did that, and anybody listening wouldn't have been able to hear. I rolled very hard.
Yeah, no, I rolled into the next sentence. Like, but it's like, what the lesson was that I met this person. They seemed wonderful, and it started out the same way that my previous relationship that I had just ended had started, with
The
like,
love bombing,
yeah. Like kind of like showering me with all these gifts. And I was like, that's kind of crazy. Essentially what ended up happening was these patterns started to arise, and I was like, oh, this is the same relationship. This is the same relationship. You are the same person. And I'm not doing this again. I just did this. And I broke it off. Because I was like, I'm not putting myself through that again.
Yeah. And it's just sparking something in me where I am in a committed relationship, and we've been together for quite some time. And, sometimes it's going to happen in friendships, in any, romantic relationships, siblings, parents, children. Like, it's going to happen. Sometimes we get into the same argument, and I go, haven't we done this before?
Yeah.
Didn't we already? So here's the thing. Recognizing these patterns and fully embodying, there is no avoiding the pattern. It's going to come back. How do you navigate it differently? How do you do it differently?
Are you asking me?
Yeah. What did you do differently then? Did you continue after you realized that this was the same relationship?
No, I ended it. And that's the thing, is like, I chose to break the cycle. And I will use the example of what I've seen countless people do, is that they don't break the cycle, they repeat it. And I say the same thing. I'm like, okay, so we found ourselves in the same situation again. Don't you want to get off the merry-go-round? Aren't you tired of this ride? You know what's going to happen.
I personally hate circle rides. If you take me to like a Six Flags, I'll go on every roller coaster. I'll drop down from the highest tower. Put me on a circle ride, I will just vomit.
Yep.
Everywhere.
Yep. Love that.
No, thank you. Get me off the circle rides.
Get me off. But this is what I'll say to you is, like, and even with my burnout lessons and my boundary lessons, I am such a person that while I am loyal, as I've grown, I've also become very loyal to myself. And when people hurt me, also when people hurt people I love, I don't take that shit lightly. You hurt somebody I love, we're not cool. Like, I'll be nice, I will be cordial, but you're someone I'm keeping at arm's length. You've shown me who you are. And you've shown me how you treat people that I care about. Or you've shown me how you treat me. Which is why I say I'm not a backslider. I do not ever get back together with exes. Because to me, I'm like, no, I learned from that relationship already. That lesson's done. There's no need to go back to that. It's the same thing with friends. I don't think I've ever, if I've had a friend breakup, which to me are more painful.
Yeah, we should do an episode on that because nobody talks about how painful friend breakups are.
Oh yeah, your comrade soulmates.
Ooh. To me personally, they hurt more than romantic breakups.
Oh yeah. And sometimes they're not like a big crescendo or like as big of a deal, but yeah, they hurt more, and that I've never walked back to a friend that I have walked away from because I'm like, you've shown me who you are.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying. The point in case is that same thing with a burnout work environment. That pattern has shown me what it is.
And it's just you've learned to get off the ride.
I've learned to just walk away. And my favorite analogy is actually, that thing that's like, if there's not a seat for you at the table, go find another table.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not meant to sit at every table that you try to go sit at. Here's the thing. Why do you want to sit with those people? You know what I mean? Why do you want to sit at the table? What do they have? If they don't see how great you are, if they don't see your light, if they don't see and celebrate you, if they don't see you, that's a waste of time. That's a waste of your energy. Go be with people who want to celebrate you. There's always another table, just a few feet away actually, that would welcome you with open arms. Go to the tables that want to celebrate everything you're about. And I mean, that in itself is a lesson that we all need to learn.
I love that. That's a perfect place to bring us into our journal prompts for a hard one, I think. You got to ask yourself, if you find yourself in a tough spot, or if you can pinpoint a karmic pattern that is continuously happening, boundaries, self-love, self-care, and you ask yourself, what is this situation trying to teach me?
It just sparked a little sidebar in me.
Side quest?
Not a side quest, because it is related to this. What is this situation trying to teach me? This is going to be a really hard concept and episode for a lot of people, because sometimes bad things happen to us, and kind of like what you were saying before, we can't in the moment recognize that it's a karmic lesson. And I've had conversations with people that they're like, I don't think I meant to learn something from this. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Think like an aquarium. You can't see all the fish if your face is pressed up against the glass. You kind of have to stand back and take it all in. Same thing with looking at a piece of art. If you're zoned in on one little detail, you can't step back and take in the full picture. So yeah, I think when you're in these lessons, it might be hard to pinpoint.
Well, how about for these journal prompts, look in the past.
I love that.
Look in the past. What was that situation trying to teach me? And then if you can pinpoint it from the past, ask yourself the hard question, how am I contributing to the continuation of the cycle? See if you can figure out, like, hey, am I pushing myself at work too much? Am I not giving myself enough time? And am I procrastinating? Like, pinpoint how you're continuously contributing to the cycle of what happened in the past. And the last one, the fun one, what do I need to let go of or change in my life to break free from this pattern? Where is the stop button on the ride?
Get off that merry-go-round.
And it can be as easy as no. Because no is a full sentence.
Yeah.
No is a full sentence.
Yeah. And also not feeling guilty about saying no. Like, if you're taking care of you, you should never feel guilty about doing what's best for you. As long as it's causing harm to no one.
And if you're surrounded by people who are judging you for saying no and putting yourself first, that ain't your people.
Yeah.
Because your people will stand by you and say, good, I'm glad you're saying yes to yourself. Go take care of yourself.
The people at your table that cheer you on, the you win, we win.
So with that, It's our karmic lesson.
It's our karmic lessons. Thank you so much for listening.
We'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. We're so glad you were here.
For more information on our episodes and to connect with us on social media,
Follow us at Spiritual Alchemy Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Stay golden!